In my last podcast, I focused on the life of Swami Pranabananda Giri, who has been addressed as a saint with two bodies in the autobiography of a yogi. In this podcast, we will focus on Shri Vishuddhananda Paramahansa Ji, the enlightened Paramasiddha yogi who was popularly called Gandha Baba. Gandh in Sanskrit means fragrance, because an all-pervading sweet lotus-like fragrance always used to emanate from his body. According to Shri Vishuddhananda Paramahansa Ji, surrender yourself solely and completely to the Supreme Power, and then you have no need to worry about anything at all. Swami Vishuddhananda Ji was born in the village of Bandul, situated 14 miles northeast of Burdwan in the state of West Bengal, India, as Bholanath Chattopadhyay to Akhil Chandra Chattopadhyay and Rajarajeshwari Chattopadhyay. From his birth, the baby exhibited extraordinary magnetic attraction for his parents and visitors through his charming features, smile, and grace. He impressed everyone as a sole descendant from the higher world. In consideration of his very simple, innocent nature, his parents called him Bholanath. Swami Vishuddhananda Ji, who lived in Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh, was a specialist of the sciences of the sun, which he had learned at the Siddh Vigyan Ashram or Siddhashram under the guidance of Swami Nemananda Ji and other great teachers of the Siddh Vigyan Ashram like Shyamananda Paramahansa Ji, Bhriguram Paramahansa Ji and Divyananda Paramahansa Ji. After learning from Siddh Vigyan Ashram, he came and set up a scientific center to teach the sciences of the sun at Varanasi, where he taught that any element could be transformed into another element using this advanced science. He taught that nothing gets destroyed, it only changes its state, and that the existence of the world is based on energy, and the essence of knowledge is science. As far as the personal life of Swami Vishuddhananda Ji goes, from his childhood, he gave evidence of uncommon spiritual and moral gifts. He exhibited great strength of character, determination, untiring strength, and fearlessness. One day, in about 1866 AD or so, when Bholanath Ji was about 13 years old, he was coming down the steps from the roof of his house. Accidentally, he stepped upon the dog sitting at the foot of the stairs. The dog instantly bit him. It was a mad dog, and its poison soon spread throughout the body, causing excruciating pain. The pain became intolerable so much so that Bholanath Ji started crying. His body twisting, turning and smarting. No treatment proved to be of any use, and finally everybody lost hope of Bholanath Ji's life. Hindus believe that if one breathes his last on the bank of the pious river Ganga or in its stream, he gets salvation. Accordingly, Bholanath Ji, having despaired of his life, one evening started walking towards the bank of the holy river Ganga, with a view to putting an end to his life there, as his end now seemed certain. On reaching the bank of the river Ganges, he saw a sannyasi bathing in the river. He got out of the water and came to the boy on the bank and placed his hand on the boy's head. Bholanath Ji felt as if a slab of ice had been placed on his burning head. He experienced great relief. All the unbearable pain vanished and hope of life revived in him once again. Thereafter, the sannyasi pulled out a herb from the shrubs on the river bank and gave it to Bholanath Ji to chew, and told him that the whole poison of the mad dog bite will be now expelled from his body. Apprehensively, Bholanath Ji expressed his intense desire to be with the sannyasi before his reverend mother. To his surprise, his mother gave him the permission to go with the sannyasi. The sannyasi taught one yogasana, that is the yogic posture, to Bholanath Ji and gave him a bija mantra. He also told him that he was not his guru. For the present, he should stay at home, practice the asana and the mantra. These will purify his mind and body. In due time, he shall come and take him to his Guru. 2 years passed. One day, he heard a story about a strange sannyasi. The story revived his old memories. He longed to go and see the sannyasi. He took his mother's permission and went to Bandul with his friend Haripada. Sannyasi was no other than the great Siddha Yogi Swami Nemananda Paramahansa ji of the secret Siddhashram in Tibet. It is only through the Almighty's extreme grace and compassion that one out of millions succeed in their goal of self-realization, which these two youths, Bholanath and Haripada, set for themselves that day. Thereupon, Swami Nemananda ji tied cloth bandages on the eyes of both of them so that they could not see anything. Holding one on either side by each hand, he led them over forested hills and plains by the air route. They found that it was morning and they had reached a charming celestial place on a plain surrounded on all sides by the snow-covered high hill ranges. It was calm, majestic and peaceful. On inquiry, they were told by Swami Nemananda ji, this is the normally inaccessible and secret yoga ashram situated in the midst of the mid-Asian highlands, Tibet, known by the name of Gyanganj Yoga Ashram. After a stay of 9 to 10 days at this ashram, Bholanath and Haripada were both presented by Swami Nemananda ji before His Reverend Holiness Shri Mahavatar for initiation. Shri Mahavatar first transmitted spiritual energy into each one of them by placing his hand on their heads and thereafter gave Bij mantra to each of them. Both of them thus became Guru Bhais of Swami Nemananda ji, who was an earlier disciple of Mahavatar Maharaj. From the age of 14, Shri Vishuddhananda ji spent the next 12 years under rigorous training in yoga and natural sciences like Surya Vigyan, that is solar science, Chandra Vigyan, which is lunar science, Vayu Vigyan, which is science of the wind, Nakshatra Vigyan, which is the astral science, and Shabda Vigyan, that is the science of the sound, and Shan Vigyan, which is the science of the moment of time. Under the instructions of Swami Bhriguram Paramahansa, Bholanath ji evolved into a perfect yogi. He spared no pains to learn natural sciences under the guidance of Swami Shyamananda Paramahansa ji in the very ancient secret Gyanganj Yoga Ashram in Tibet and attained excellence in all of them. Gandha Baba, Shri Vishuddhananda ji stayed in Gyanganj Ashram for 12 years. According to the Surya Vigyan, there are around 360 rays of the sun that go to every form of the whole creation of the universe. Gandha Baba converted cotton wool, flowers and leaves into stones, woods, by the incidence of appropriate rays of the sun. He demonstrated practically how minute particles of ingredients of various objects could be dispersed or assembled and destroyed or created through the process of Surya Vigyan. Swami Vishuddhananda ji had acquired many supernatural powers through the constant practice of mantra jap and tapasya and samadhi. He used to utilize these siddhis only for the benefit of the mankind. Whenever requested, he used to provide relief to all relatives and others in their bodily and mental sufferings and all kinds of troubles. Many people suffering from chronic and infectious diseases were cured just by a single compassionate look from him or by his willpower. As per the orders of his Guru, Maharishi Mahavatar, Gandha Baba adopted the life of a householder. After having lived as a sannyasi for 4 years with all humbleness, he inquired, Gurudev, I hope my marriage will not stand in the way of my progress in the practice of austerity. The Guru replied, No, with my blessings, the influence of your tap will increase day by day after marriage instead of declining. And this proved to be true. After his marriage, Shri Vishuddhananda Ji pursued his spiritual austerities with even great vigor and tenacity. He soon attained the stage of Tirth Swami, and during that period he acquired many additional yogic siddhis. But during his whole life, he never got immersed in worldliness and false attachment. He kept himself mentally detached from all worldly things. After marriage, Shri Vishuddhananda Ji went to his in-laws' place at Manteshwar. There, he went to the pond for his daily bath. The pond was overloaded with water weeds. While bathing, he was bitten by a snake on his chest. He immediately came out of the pond. Blood was flowing out of the bitten spot. Shri Vishuddhananda Ji entered the Shiva temple at the pond and told his brother-in-law to ensure that nobody entered the temple till the time he was inside, irrespective of how long he took, so nobody disturbs him. A whole day went by, the whole night passed. Only on the second day in the morning, the door of the temple was opened from inside and he emerged. His eyes were blood red and the whole body was wet with perspiration. But there was no visible sign of snake bite poison except the dent of snake fangs on his chest. Shri Vishuddhananda Ji had 2 sons and a daughter. The elder son was named Durga Das and the younger son Hari Das. In the year 1911, a little after the establishment of the ashram at Bandul, Babaji lost his wife and his mother in the same year, and soon after he lost his son Hari Das and his daughter as well. The death of a single close relative causes so much mental agony, and here Babaji had to face the death of wife, mother, son and daughter, 4 of them, in quick succession. This could have turned any human being insane, but Babaji bore the losses and grief with great fortitude, taking it all very philosophically as the will of the Creator. He did not allow his mental equilibrium and tranquility of mind to be disturbed and kept calm and composed. He proved to the hilt the dictum of the Shastras that one who has attained self-realization is no longer affected by the sad happenings and griefs of this world. Such was Baba's non-attachment. Baba used to say, attachment is the cause of unhappiness and cycle of birth and death. Self-realization through the control of the mind is the only way to salvation. His main aim was to wake up his disciples and devotees from the slumber caused by the senses, which delude first into thinking that they give real happiness, to find later that the happiness was only transient and unreal. He would sit quietly for hours in the presence of his disciples, giving them time and opportunity for introspection. He was very kind, compassionate, and generous at heart, and helpful to one and all. He had developed feelings of friendship and happiness instead of jealousy at seeing the prosperity of others, and indifference to sin instead of hate and repulsion. He had overcome his ego completely. He was never after name and fame and did not like making disciples indiscriminately. Baba was a great appreciator of fine qualities and good character in people. He particularly loved children and enjoyed their company. He played with them and showed them little tricks and miracles. He entertained them with jokes and funny stories with morals. Baba's main focus was on Kriya Karma. He would say, Karam Bhayo Namaha. Do it, keep doing it. Self-realization is possible only through the constant practice of Yoga Kriya. Through constancy in Kriya, one can change even his destiny. As a result of austere practice, Babaji's body had been highly purified, and that is why the air inside his body was pure too. His body always emitted the Padma Gandh, lotus fragrance, continuously. This stage is reached when one attains the ability to confine the movement of his breath through Shushumna Nadi. Thereafter, one's body, breath, and mind all get purified serially, one after the other. At the time of worship, the whole worship room used to get filled with lotus fragrance. His body was surcharged with the electromagnetic current of such high intensity that poisonous insects like wasps, hornets, black bees, mosquitoes, etc. would die instantly they bit him. Baba used to eat only once a day, at about 10 am, after the morning bhog and arti of the deities was over. If, for any special reason, he failed to take his meal by the time, he used to forego his meal altogether for that day. His food usually consisted of rice, moong or chana dal, cooked along with raw papaya in it. Before partaking his food, his first piece would invariably be a bit of Kumari Prasad. This might consist of 1 or 2 patashas, 1 or 2 pieces of banana, a rasgulla or chamcham, or a bit of bundi or kheer. Any 1 or 2 of these picked up out of the leftovers from the pattal of a Kumari after she had finished her eating, plus a little halwa of Gopalji's bhog. Baba considered a Kumari to be the true manifestation of this goddess of earth, Jagdamba. Baba would go to sleep at 9 pm exactly by the watch and get up at 11 pm. He used to say that sleep during these 2 hours is most refreshing and sound. It is equal to 4 hours sleep from 11 pm to 3 am and equal to 6 to 8 hours later during daytime. After waking at 11 pm, he would attend the call of nature, brush his teeth, massage oil onto his body and take a bath. Thereafter, from 11:30 pm till 3:30 am, he would sit on his asan and perform his Kriya worship. Then he would take yet another half an hour or more to descend from that exalted super sensuous state of trance to the normal human plane. Babaji had the most detailed knowledge of distant events and circumstances. Also, whether he directed the actions of some other person or himself materialized in a distant place to play his part there. He could do so without interrupting his normal activities at his ashram at Kashi, Burdwan or Calcutta. Babaji used to say, having undertaken responsibility for you, I will never allow any of you disciples to escape from me. Only keep the faith and I will do the rest. I will give you what you want, if it is to your benefit, and wish that you will in due time desire what I want to give you. Wherever you may be, think of me and I'll be with you. Babaji exerted a tremendous influence over his devotees, causing a remarkable change in their lifestyle for their spiritual progress. That is all for this session of the USB show. See you in the next episode. Namaskar. Stay home, stay safe, and try looking for answers within.